What does it actually take to shift into the new identity that you are birthing within yourself? That's the topic of today's Soul Sovereignty and Sexuality podcast with myself, Jessica Falcon, international soul healer and embodiment guide, supporting you to embody the God, Goddess within you, which is the embodiment of your soul, the divine that is you, and bringing that consciousness, that light, that abundance, that joy into your reality. So you get to live as the divine that you are, and you create from your internal world, right? Versus taking the external world in and making it yours, or complying, adhering to the way other people do things. You create from an internal space. And that's part of shifting identities. That's part of creating your soul reality, your divine reality. Now, this is a bunch of big words that we want to apply to your actual lived, breathed, daily experience. That's what the embodiment piece is, right? It's one thing to talk about spirituality, to talk about these big concepts. It's another to understand how to bring them into how you speak, how you choose, how you live, how you act, how you do everything in your life. That's the bridging, right? So, particularly if you've listened to this before, you know that less than 2 weeks ago, I came back from pilgrimage in Europe, and I experienced so much during my travels that I'm continuing to integrate. And I can notice these really subtle ways, these really subtle habits that are ready to be shifted with the new identity that is birthing through me. Now, when we have a new identity, what does that mean? It means that we're allowing a new version of ourselves to be born. We are allowing a new version of ourselves to come forth, which requires releasing the habits, the emotions, thoughts, the beliefs, the ways of being that are not in alignment with that new version of self, which is kind of like peeling back the layers of the onion, right? You've probably heard like, oh, I've done this before, but you're at a deeper layer, right? It's not like there's just one and then, oh, yay, I'm transformed forever. That's not how life works. There's always a deeper layer. And as you get to the root, you get to the root, you get to the root, you get to the tap root, ooh, you transform that, your entire life shifts dramatically. But it's all those many steps. It's those many moments when you notice the thought that's no longer in alignment with who you're becoming and you shift it. It's those many moments when you go, I'm feeling this way, but that feeling is rooted in a belief of powerlessness, which is not actually my truth anymore. So I'm noticing this feeling I'm having of powerlessness that feels so real in my body because it's habitual. But as I'm noticing it, I'm able to say, wait, that feeling is not actually true. It's just habitual. So I can acknowledge the feeling, but then bring the light of my soul, the light of my divinity, the light of truth to the feeling and go, okay. So let's say, for example, you're feeling, I've had this come up, really subtle levels of, I'm feeling really frustrated and a sense of powerlessness. And I'm looking at it going, oh, well, is it true that I'm powerless? No. Is it true that I don't have a choice? No. Is it true that I'm not being seen? No. Is it true that I'm not being heard? No. Is any of this true? No, but it's an old story. So that feeling is old too. It's so habitual, right? They can go unnoticed unless you're practicing self-awareness in every moment, with every thought, with every belief. And so then you can say, well, that feeling, though it's key, it's based on a thought and a belief that isn't here, right? That isn't my truth. And then as you start to shine that light on it, the feeling begins to dissipate, right? Here's the thing around a lot that I've heard people say or read out there around emotional intelligence, for example. What can happen is that you get so, how do I say, caught up, right? And, oh, but I'm allowed to feel the way I do, right? Because that's part of the empowerment, right? Of like, oh, I get to feel what I feel. When you start to go into your body, get to feel what I feel. I need to feel these emotions. I need to process through these emotions, right? And that's part of that coming into the body. You have to feel what's been suppressed in order to truly come into the body. Or prior podcast episodes on that around soul embodiment. And at the same time, I have to do it with consciousness. You have to always, in order to actually transform your emotions, to actually transform your experience, you have to always witness your feelings, your emotional state with consciousness as an observer. If you haven't developed that capacity first, you just get lost in the feeling. You don't transform it. You identify with it. You become one with it. The energy doesn't actually move, number one. Emotions are meant to move, right? As you observe them, they move. And then you can stay stuck in these emotional patterns that do not actually serve the truth of who you are, that are not you and your power. And so as we observe the emotions and the feelings, which is key to the transformation, key to the reclamation of power, then you say, okay, so witnessing this feeling that I am having, this experience that I'm having, but is this true for me? What is the root thought and belief? Because under every emotion that you have, there is a thought or belief associated with that you've got to get to the root to if it is a recurring emotion or experience, okay? So for example, let's take something I hear from a lot of my clients. I don't feel seen. I don't feel seen. Now, I know I grew up with that experience. It's the reason that I'm so good at helping people transform that experience and reclaim their power and sovereignty. And it's because I've walked that path so deeply myself from lifetimes of not being seen. And if that is the story you're carrying around, that is the habitual experience you're having. You're going to see through that lens, right? Like you're wearing glasses. You're going to see everything through that lens. Oh, well, I don't feel seen. I'm not seen in my relationship. So the lens you're looking through is that person isn't seeing me either. That's also not happening. That person isn't seeing me. I'm feeling unseen again, right? Until you start to recognize, oh, that feeling of, say, anger or frustration, right? Not being seen. Let's bring it to a specific circumstance in which it's your partner, okay, who's not seeing you. And you go, okay, this person is not hearing me, therefore they're not seeing me, they don't understand me, they don't understand my experience, they don't understand my words. That's your story. That's your felt experience in the moment. And then you say, oh, okay, so where am I searching for them to understand me rather than acting on my own behalf? Where am I seeking them to hear me? I want you to understand this. I want you to hear this because I want you to agree, because I want you to give me permission, right? It's often the underlying subconscious thought. And instead going, okay, so I feel like you're not hearing my words. But instead of waiting for you to hear them and act on them, I am actually going to act on my words myself. And so I'm going to hear me and I'm going to take the action I need to take in this particular situation, rather than seeking for you to hear me so that I hear me and act on my own behalf. Powerlessness, right? Into power. You don't see me. So I could either feel angry at you for not seeing me and then feel powerless that you're not seeing me and then feel like I don't have a choice and I'm stuck in this relationship with this partner who's not seeing me. Or I can go, oh, you're not seeing me. Got it. There's pain in that. Absolutely. Right. And there's different stages of healing throughout all of this. It's not black and white. It's not linear. You're not seeing me. Have to acknowledge that pain, that frustration, that anger, especially if it's been happening for a long time. Say you've been with this person for 20 years. Maybe you've been with them for 9 months, but for 9 months, you've been banging your head against the wall, trying to get them to see you, right? Okay. So then you say, am I seeing me? What is this underlying feeling that I'm having? Is this my truth? I'm resentful toward them. I'm angry because they're not seeing me. Where am I not seeing me? Where am I looking at them to see me so that I see me? Where am I looking for validation? Where am I seeking to prove something? Where am I seeking your agreement? Where am I seeking your permission? Where am I seeking for you to tell me that I'm worthy of being seen instead of declaring that I'm worthy of being seen and acting on that, knowing, truly seeing all of me and speaking that so that you can actually see me? Because what I see a lot to the clients, and I used to do this myself, which is why I can see it so clearly as well, is I would feel like people weren't seeing me, my internal self. People often saw my professional self, especially when I was a criminal prosecutor and attorney. People saw this confident professional self, this exterior self. But I didn't feel like people saw me, the internal me, my inner voice. But I wasn't speaking it. So are you speaking your internal world and making it visible through your voice? Are you sharing your deep needs with your partner, with your family member, with your colleague? Are you sharing your deep desires? Do you even know what they are, right? Do you even know your inner world enough to express that to another so that you can be seen deeply? So that you can be received? Are you speaking it from your heart? Are you saying it in a way that they can hear and receive? Because it's not from defense. It's not right from pushing away. It's not from accusation. It's not from demand. It's from a deep place of embodiment. Because you actually know you are worthy of being seen. So you express it through your beingness, through your frequency, and then through your voice, which is often the last step. Because you have to do the inner work to feel that, to embody that, to know that first. And then when you have the emotions, the old habitual pattern of, hey, feeling powerless, this person isn't seeing me, I'm feeling grief, I'm feeling anger, then you look at that, you look at that, you look at that. What's the underlying belief? I need them to see me. What's the underlying belief? That I'm not worthy. What's the underlying belief? That this is a burden, right? You go into all those things. That's a huge part of what I do with clients. And it's work that, quite frankly, I never stop doing for myself. Because in order to embody your soul and your divinity, you have to shift out of these old patterns. You have to shift out of these old ways of thinking and feeling that are rooted in past versions of you. The versions of you that felt unseen, for example. They deserve love, they deserve compassion, but they also need to be held accountable. As you witness those versions and help them rise and stand up tall and have a new way of being in the world that is empowered. It takes a lot more consciousness to shift the almost unnoticeable habitual ways of responding to a situation than it does to make, quote, giant leaps. The giant leaps don't ever happen until you make these minute shifts in the way you think in the way you feel, in the way you show up. That's why it's helpful to have someone like myself seeing you, your soul. I communicate with your soul communicates with me, and we see all the ways that you're not fully owning all of you, right? Journaling, meditative practices connecting you with your body are essential. Because anytime you are blaming another person, you're not in your power. Anytime you're feeling like you don't have a choice, you are not in your power. Anytime you feel helpless or victim, you are not in your power. That doesn't mean these experiences can't show up, but it's up to you to transform them into your divine truth and power. So begin to notice this feeling. Why am I having it? What is the root thought? What is the root belief? Go deep. Keep going. It's probably not the first thing you get to. Probably the belief under that or under that. And then you have to pull it out by the root, and you have to notice the ways in which you're giving that belief energy, in which you're giving that feeling energy, versus catching yourself in the moment and saying, even though I'm feeling this feeling is not actually my truth. And so what is my truth? And how do I start to vibrate at that frequency and shift out of this old pattern? One way I can support you with that, other than the one-on-one private portal transformation that I offer, is an upcoming retreat. It's called the New Year, New You retreat. It's going to be in person in Real League Space. So I'll put the link below. It's January 10th through 12th at the Wheel of Bliss Retreat Center in Hot Springs, North Carolina. So if you want to have support with the new year of shedding the old identities, releasing the past, forgiveness rituals and ceremonies, consciously creating the new, attuning to your soul truth, attuning to your soul desires, attuning to your soul power, this is the retreat for you. We already have a few spots filled. So since space is limited, go ahead and grab your seat now. It's discounted to $644 until December 27th. You can go to thepath2sovereignty.com. I'd love to see you there, or send me a message if you want to chit chat about it. And sending you lots of love. I'll see you next week.